What is going on, guys? Predator458 here, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome once again to War Thunder. Yes, as I mentioned in my Armored Warfare video on, what was it, Wednesday, I believe, you guys would be receiving another War Thunder video on Friday, today when you guys are watching this. And the purpose of this video is to talk about an event that was running. Unfortunately, I do believe it is over now. But it was called the 100 or something like that, and basically it was available for arcade ground forces or for arcade planes, and it was a team deathmatch. That about sums it up, really. For tanks, it was tier 3 on the Poland map. First team to 100 kills wins. You can die as many times as you want, you just respawn. And I think this is absolutely brilliant. To me, this is something that I think War Thunder should do a lot more of. It really separates them from the other vehicular warfare games that are out there at the moment. World of Tanks, Armored Warfare, you know. All of those games kind of, you know, it's always the, when you die, you're out, kind of a Counter-Strike first-person shooter type model. War Thunder, obviously, for their ground forces and for their planes, even in normal arcade battles, they do have multiple lives, and for realistic, you can get it as well if you earn enough points before you destroyed. For tanks and simulator battles, I think your sort of medium tanks get 2 lives, but you're still limited. Whereas this kind of game mode, this team deathmatch, first to 100 kills, this is like, you know, this is like a match of Battlefield or Call of Duty where you die, who cares? You back in action and you're trying to get revenge and be the first team to get 100 kills. I think it was absolutely brilliant, and I had so much fun playing it. And the best part, and we screw that shot up a little bit, we rush it, so we don't quite aim properly and aim it in at his, the front plate of his armor, and it doesn't hit where we needed it to. But I thought this was absolutely brilliant, and I had so much fun playing this. Not to mention the fact that it's limited to tier 3, so there was no King Tigers, no IS-2s, no tier 4 tanks to absolutely destroy the Tiger, you know, which is a good tank, just not so much when it's going up against tier 4 heavy tanks and even some tier 4 light tanks. I think the the T-44 Soviet medium tank is quite difficult to penetrate from the front for the Tiger, because it's got very, very good armor. Now, obviously this event is not perfect. Being tier 3 and only tier 3, it does lead to pretty much, I'm not going to say everyone using the same tanks, but I'd say the vast majority, at least over 50% of the tanks you were running into on the battlefield were people using the Tiger, because it is just one of the better tier 3 tanks out there. The Panther is a viable option, but in some situations its armor is better, in other situations it's not. The IS-1, the Soviet tier 3 heavy counterpart, in my opinion is just not as good. It's got a good gun, it does have very bouncy armor sometimes, but I did play around with it in one of the matches, I did use it, and I just found that every single time the IS-1 gets penetrated, if you don't bounce the shot, if the shot enters your tank and detonates inside, you're done. It either killed all the crew in one shot, or one thing it loved to do was destroy the fuel tank and burn the tank down just from the single hit, because of where those are located. Whereas the Tiger just felt like it could just take a little bit more of a punishment sometimes. And as a result, as I said, a lot of the time people were using Tiger 1s. And this was, I don't know, a bit of a weird replay bug here. It's sort of gone into the sort of sepia color palette that you get when you're killed, but we haven't been killed yet. We're nearly dead, and I think we're just repairing here. I don't know if don't see a repair timer on the screen. And in fact, I mean, the whole replay's like got itself confused. It will sort itself out, but we put a shot into this tiger, and there's another shot, but our turret's not even pointing at him. So just ignore this little bit. Obviously, this is not what happened in game, and it's just the replay being very, very weird. Not sure why, and I'm sure we're now repairing some more new things. But I mean, we've lost our machine gunner, looks like our commander. We try and get put a shot into that guy's side, but it goes a little bit low. I think bounce off this track. And is he going to kill us now? No, we put another shot through, and you can see what I mean. Like, sometimes these tigers do take a big beating, which is something even the Panther doesn't do quite as well, and we finally finish him off. The IS-1 doesn't do as well. You might be able to get away with it in the Jumbo Sherman, the tier 3 Jumbo Sherman. I know that is an absolute pain to deal with from a tiger's point of view, or at least the last time I played it. And you know, that versus a tiger was really frustrating because it's got really good armor but a really shit gun. So it can't penetrate the tiger, but because it's got pretty damn good frontal armor, and here I think everything finally sorts itself out. But because it's got really good turret or armor from the front, the tiger can't even really do anything against it. So you just sort of sit there and shoot at each other. But I mean, this was such a fun event to play, and you know, when War Thunder changed the way ground forces worked, and especially for arcade, and they limited you to 3 lives, and they limited, you know, at one point when I first started playing ground forces, you could take 5 vehicles, 5 tanks into battle. You could use all 5 of them. Medium tanks and your sort of lighter tank destroyers, so not like the big tank destroyers like the Ferdinand, but your normal tank destroyers. Those got 2 lives as well. So, like, for example, this particular loadout that I brought with me into this battle, you know, was 4 medium tanks and a heavy. If that had been the old type of arcade battle, I would have had 8 lives with the medium tanks and 1 life with the heavy, and I really think they need to go back to that, because that was when ground forces was so much fun, in my opinion. And you know, they changed it, and they're like, oh well, we want people's tanks to be more valuable to them. And I'm just sitting there thinking, well, you know, there is a game mode where your tank is valuable to you. It's called realistic or simulator. Leave it at that. And it just sort of led to this thing where most people, when they play arcade ground forces now, it's become more campy than it used to be, because your tank is more valuable. And there's a lot more, you know, there used to be a reason why you could get away with using a medium tank. You know, you could try and flank the enemy and get yourselves into a position, and hopefully it would work out. But if it didn't, you could use that tank again. It wasn't the end of the world. Now, if you've got a medium tank, you know, you can still try things in realistic or simulator battle, because there's obviously no markers. But in arcade, when there's always markers, you can't really do anything, because you're always going to be spotted. So it just leads to the situation where everyone takes out their heavy tanks, should you have them, and only when your heavy tanks are done do you really start using your mediums. And I don't really like the way it's done that. So going to something like this, I think, would be brilliant. And here we're finally going to get killed. Unfortunately, I didn't see that tiger on my left side, and he puts a shot through and he finishes me off. But I mean, I think I pretty much only had 1 or 2 crew members left, so that tiger took an absolute beating before it finally succumbed to the enemy fire. And now we're going to play again, and you know, this is so brilliant. And I would love to see this game mode expanded, because as I said, this was during the course of this event. It was only tier 3, any nation, but obviously with tanks there's only what's it, 4 nations, America, Russia, Soviet Union, and Brits now. But only tier 3, and it was all on this map. It was only on the Poland map. I'd love to see that expanded to all tiers, all maps. Make it a permanent event, a permanent game mode, so people can play it if they want. I'm not necessarily saying it must replace the standard arcade battle, but I'd love to see it at the very least become a permanent alternative. On top of that, I would actually also really like to see this expanded to the other game modes. So you'd have a realistic and even a simulator game mode where you could go and do this again with all tiers. In simulator is a bit difficult because the community is a bit smaller, but I think it would still work. And I mean, just being able to do this in any tank, on any map, in any game mode you wanted is, I think it would be really, really awesome and a lot of fun. And to me, that would be something that would really make War Thunder stick out even more compared to the other games out there, and would probably go a very long way to bringing me back to War Thunder. And yeah, I mean, planes, I did try it in the plane event. It was also fun, was also really good. Less so, I think, because in arcade plane aerial combat you can still use 5 planes at least. I mean, you can use however many you bring into the battle. So if you've gone and bought all 9 or 10 garage slots, you can bring 9 or 10 planes into the battle and use all of them. So there aren't, you know, arcade battle for aircraft, they've never limited you much. So perhaps that's why it didn't feel quite as special as the tanks did. And we get tracked once again. Was it at IS-1, I think? We could have actually taken a shot there, but we were not reloaded in time. I think our loader has been damaged or injured. And as you can see, I mean, it's a fairly long game mode. This battle is going to last 23 minutes in total. We're not going to watch all 23 minutes. In fact, I think I only recorded about 15, so that's when the video will end. But not all of them were this long. Some were a lot quicker, some were 10 minutes and you're done. Because obviously, as with any matchmaker, sometimes one team is a lot better than the other. So this is just something that I really, really would like to see more of, and thoroughly enjoyed this. And I'd love to be able to do this with, unfortunately a tiger comes around the corner there and shoots at me instead of the tiger that has its gun pointed towards him. And as I said, I'd love to see more of this, because this was a lot of fun, and this is something that I think we need, you know, to have this kind of team deathmatch, this kind of just free for all kind of, you die, you spawn again, and you just keep playing. Obviously, they need to balance it out with a certain repair cost every time you're killed, so that you obviously don't want to get shot a million times and get killed a million times, because you will eventually lose money. But it would still be really, really awesome, and I thoroughly hope that this becomes a permanent thing. I hope the event was popular. It seemed fairly popular when I was playing it, but you know, time will tell what Gaijin does. But yeah, I mean, that about covers everything that I wanted to say. I mean, this time, you know, there were no, you didn't get to choose your spawn point. It just kind of randomly put you somewhere, and this time it put me on the side of the lake. So I thought I'd try and come up here, and just see. If you are regular to War Thunder, you may have noticed some different sounds in this video. I was testing out the Boris sound pack. I saw a video, Baron did a video with it, or was it Fly? But one of my subscribers reminded me. But anyways, tried it out, I quite like it. But yeah, that about covers everything that I have to say on this event. I hope I see more. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button down below, and consider subscribing for more Armored Warfare, World of Warships, possibly more War Thunder in the future. And that is it from me. Thank you very much for stopping by. This is Predator 458 signing off, and I will see you guys next time.